around the world. It's Learn Ubuntu Live, presented by LearnUbuntu.org, with your host, Tom Judge.
I'm glad you could join us again. Here we are at part 3 of our series on building a workstation from the dumpster. Here we're going to install the Ubuntu 12.04 LTS operating system on this workstation that we found and scrounged from various parts, from various and sundry places. Now, we mentioned the scientific process briefly earlier. Let me just remind you that in the lab exercises for this course, there are details that outline what the scientific process is. In a nutshell, it means we try and change one thing at a time and observe the results when we're troubleshooting or assembling something. So, using that process and working on this PC from the dumpster, we're going to try one thing at a time. We're going to simply add the one hard drive and then run our CMOS tests and see what we get. So let's do that now. I'm going to connect this power supply cable right here. I've already connected the SATA cable, and I'm just going to lay this in the chassis here in one of the cages that is designed to hold the hard drives. And sometimes these things can be a bit of a tight fit. The memory is in the way. Bit of a tight fit here for this. We may have to remove the memory modules to get this hard drive in place. So let's see how we do that. Here, if you can see, it's a bit of a tight fit there because the memory modules are sort of in the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these out temporarily. Again, forcing stuff is not a good idea. Now that we have those out of the way, we should be able to get this drive to slip into one of the bays designed to hold it. Again, this is sort of a tight fit here. There we go. And that is a little tight, but we'll make it. And I'm just going to throw one little screw in the side to hold this drive in place, just so it doesn't wobble around too much on us. As you see, the back of the drive is pretty strong. Memory modules. This is not the motherboard that belongs in this chassis, so we're making things fit, but we don't make things fit by forcing them. That's important to understand that. So now we can carefully replace our two memory modules. And we can take our SATA connection and plug this into one of the SATA ports. If you look closely, they're marked SATA 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, or SATA 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to plug this into the SATA 1 port, which is the one that's mounted on the side of the motherboard. I'm going to then connect the power supply first because that's on the bottom. Let's get one of these connectors that has our newer SATA type of connector on it. And again, these are keyed. I'm going to connect that. And then we're going to connect our data connection, like so. making sure none of these wires are clogging up our fan. And now we're ready to try this out and power this puppy up and see what we get here. So let's give this a go. And again, I'm going to hit my brake key almost right away, or my F10 key in this case. I know what it is. If we look at our CMOS, we can see that the hard drive has been identified in the first SATA connection. That's a good sign. Okay, now we're going to install this CD-ROM. We have the SATA version, which is what this unit supports. And we're going to slide this into the front of the chassis. Now, generally there are panels, little plastic panels that pop out. Occasionally you may find a metal panel behind there. But the drive should, without too much difficulty, be able to slide in to the front of the chassis like so. And looking at our bird's eye view here, we now see the mounting holes are here and here, and again I'm just going to put one screw in. Now I usually find, for some reason, I don't understand, but for some reason the CDs usually use a fine thread screw compared to the hard drives. It looks the same, but it's slightly different. I'm just going to put one screw in for now to hold it in place so it doesn't wobble around on us. And then I'm going to connect the SATA and the power cables to the back of this. Now we'll connect our cables to the back of the CD-ROM DVD now that we have it installed. Here we can see the chassis, and here's a better close-up view as we put these cables on. And again, I do the power cable first because it's at the bottom. If I put the data cable on before the power cable, I won't be able to see it. So let's put our, and again, I don't know if you can see, it is keyed. The power cable is keyed. It can only go on one way. So don't force that either. You hear me say don't force a lot. Believe me, I've seen results of people forcing things because they're in a hurry for whatever reason. I didn't get this far in life by being in a hurry. Enjoy the ride. I'm going to connect it to the motherboard and also connect it to this CD DVD device. Now, I guess, you know, it's there we go. And I'm connecting it. Yes. Here we go. And again, these only go in one way. We'll put this in the second SATA connector. And now we can watch and see how we boot. And there we see that we have our first drive, our Samsung, and our CD DVD writable drive. So at this point, we can actually try installing an operating system and see if we can get something going here. Guess what kind of operating system we're going to install? It will not be Windows. I have my my handy Ubuntu 12.04 DVD that I downloaded and created. Actually, this is a CD. The desktop you can install on a CD. So if you have an older machine that only has a CD drive and not a DVD, you can still install it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try and install this on this workstation that we've been scrounging from parts here and see if we can get something that works. And here we are introducing a new point of view called Goggle Cam. As you see, I have a camera attached to my goggles, my safety goggles. Now don't confuse my Goggle Cam with Google Cam. This is Goggle Cam and not Google Cam. So this way you can see what I see, more or less. And we'll see what our view of this looks like here. There is my goggle cam panning around. And what I wanted to show you was, in this chassis, since we have all of our hardware installed, the next thing we want to do is clean up our wires. We don't want any wires to get in the way of our fan. Because if the wires get in the way of the fan and the fan stops spinning, bad things can start to happen. So for now, I'm just going to tuck these wires neatly out of the way. When you're all done, some people will actually use cable ties and cable tie them out of the way, which is also okay, such as that. So now, we're ready to start installing our operating system. So we're going to put our CD DVD in our unit, power it up, and watch for smoke. First we have to turn the unit on. It came up with no errors. Let's pop our DVD in. Now, I may have to check the boot order on this. Let's see if it boots off the DVD or what it wants to do here. When we first boot our system, we see we have a choice here to either try the Ubuntu or to install it. So we have to first select our install language on the left, whether we want to try it or install. We're going to select the language first, and then we're going to click install. And there we go. Here comes our dialog. Now, also, it's very important we are not absolutely necessary, but better, okay, if we are connected to the internet. I'm going to choose to install updates while installing, and I'm also going to choose to install the special software. I call it special. You can call it what you want. And we're going to click continue. And we have a choice here. We have to replace the operating system with something else. Or it's possible to install alongside. In this case, we are going to take the first choice, which is replace the operating system, and click continue. And this is showing us that it's using the entire 80 gig drive that we have, which is fine. So again, we're going to continue. Based on our IP address, it should be able to select our location. If it's not correct, you can change it. We're going to click continue and continue again. And here we're going to enter our name. Let me put my name in. And we can select a computer name. I'm going to call this Dumpster 1. DUMPSTER 1. And my username, my password, which I'm not going to tell you, and confirm the password. And leave the others as default and click continue. The operating system is continuing to install as we're entering this information. It is actually already copying files in the background to make the install go quicker. I'm not sure if I like the way this came out. I think I have my caps lock on. Caps lock was on. It warned us that, by the way. Which was awfully nice of it. and it may show us some nice little slideshow as we're going through the installation. And it looks like our dumpster PC is slowly but surely coming to life here, which is a good sign. It's showing us this little demo show as it goes through. This, by the way, is a dual port NVIDIA card, and it's not quite configured 100%. That's why the right side of that screen is a little dark. It's not sure the screen sizes yet during the install. That will all be taken care of after the install. We're capturing the DVI out to a HDMI adapter, which is then recorded to an NTSC for recording, so the quality may not be quite as good as we want, but it's good enough to see. This is continuing to install. It should only be a few more minutes and we'll have a working Ubuntu 12.04 workstation, hopefully. As you see, our hard drive light, you can see, is flashing there. Our fans are spinning. Our workstation seems to be functioning fine. There's no smoke coming out of anything. The lack of smoke is one of the better signs of success in this case. We can see our timeline of progress below our little presentation that goes. If you've never seen this before, it's worth watching the presentation. You'll learn something about the features of Ubuntu. Here behind me we have this machine churning away, very happily installing the Ubuntu 12.04. So a little bit of luck, a little bit of time, and no money at all hardly, we seem to have been able to put together a workstation for just about nothing. And in some parts of the world, a lot of people have nothing. I'm aware of that, and that's why we're showing this. Okay, looks like our system is finished installing. So we will click the restart button. Which should prompt us to remove our media. And as we see, our CD is out. We're going to just take it out and let that go and hit the enter key to reboot. And here our system looks like it's coming back up. And hopefully we will be booting into a working Ubuntu desktop, and there's our login. And providing I entered my password correctly when I installed, that password should work here. There we go. Yeah, this is an NVIDIA card I'm expecting, and yes, there I see we do have our Unity desktop working. And there we go. So, we now have a machine that we picked parts and all out of the dumpster and built, and more importantly than getting a machine for free, hopefully we learned something about this. Hopefully we learned some skills that we can use to put food on our table. We hope you enjoyed this presentation and you come back and join us again to learn more about Ubuntu Linux, the great free operating system.
of this program were pre-recorded.